You've met someone like this before. They never demand respect, yet people give it freely. They never clamor for attention, yet rooms turn toward them the moment they arrive. They never defend their worth, yet somehow everyone just assumes they're valuable. What do they possess that most people don't? It isn't money. I've seen people with almost nothing financially who still carry this power. It isn't looks. Plenty of average-looking individuals captivate everyone in their presence. And it's not raw intelligence either. Some of the brightest minds I know are ignored completely. No, what they have is invisible. But it's so powerful that it alters every interaction they enter. Here's the part that startled me. This secret isn't new. It's been hiding in plain sight for centuries. Niccolo Machiavelli. Yes, the same figure often caricatured as cold and ruthless, outlined this principle over 500 years ago. He wrote that the world's most influential people apply it daily, while the vast majority of humanity, 99%, maybe more, live and die without ever realizing it exists. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You'll start noticing the subtle differences between people who truly command life and those who only pretend. You'll understand why certain individuals glide toward their desires almost effortlessly, while others spend their lives begging for scraps. So, before we go further, lock this thought into your mind. I choose to become the hidden force that shapes reality. Because today, we're diving into Machiavelli's most dangerous secret. 1. The invisible power. From the time you were young, you were lied to about what power really is. You were told that power comes from being loud, demanding, aggressive. You were told that respect must be forced, that influence requires domination. That's fake power. That's the theater of power. The performance weak people use when they're desperate to control what they actually can't. Real power works differently. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't beg for recognition. Real power is subtle, silent, often imperceptible. It operates from the shadows, shaping outcomes without anyone realizing what's happening. Think about the most powerful person you personally know. Not a celebrity, not a politician, but someone you've actually interacted with. Do they brag constantly? Do they dominate conversations with noise and bluster? Do they scream for validation? I doubt it. Instead, they carry something else, an invisible gravity, a psychological magnetism that pulls people in without force. It commands respect without ever demanding it. I call this phenomenon invisible dominance. And make no mistake, it's the most unfair advantage a person can possess. While others are competing, shouting, struggling to be noticed, the person with invisible dominance simply exists, and the world bends toward them. And here's what makes it devastating. No one can point to exactly what you're doing. It's not in the words. It's not in the gestures. It's in the energy you project and the silence you control. The average person broadcasts everything. Their emotions, their fears, their plans, their vulnerabilities. They live as if their soul were a billboard for the world. And because of that, they are endlessly manipulated, endlessly predictable. Invisible dominance flips the game. It makes people work to understand you. It turns mystery into magnetism. It transforms silence into a weapon. As Machiavelli wrote, everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are. This is the core of invisible dominance, controlling what others see while guarding what truly matters. And once you learn to wield it, you stop being just another voice in the crowd. You become the hidden architect of outcomes. the one who influences without being noticed. So let's anchor this with an affirmation. Mystery is my strength. My silence is my weapon. 2. Why predictable people always lose. Let's dismantle another illusion. You've probably been told that being transparent makes you trustworthy, that being emotionally open is always virtuous, that oversharing is the key to building connection. It's not. In fact, it's often the exact opposite. Transparency makes you easy to control. Predictability makes you someone else's puppet. Think about it. If people can forecast your every move, if they know what words will make you angry, what flattery will soften you, what triggers will unravel you, you've already surrendered power. You've handed the blueprint of your mind to the world. Now, look closely at people who seem to get what they want. They aren't narrating their every thought. They don't explain themselves to everyone. They don't spill their plans at the first opportunity. They understand that information is leverage, and leverage is power. Machiavelli himself warned, the first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him. Translation: true power is measured not by loud declarations, but by how well someone controls the flow of information. Every time you overshare, you give away leverage. Every time you overreact, you hand someone a weapon. Every time you over-explain, you dilute your authority. The goal isn't to be mysterious for no reason. The goal is to be strategic. Information should be released like currency, rarely, deliberately, and only when it buys something of value. Being unreadable doesn't make you fake. It makes you free. So repeat this. I am unreadable, unpredictable, unstoppable. 3. The silent observer's weapon. Here's a psychological truth almost no one understands. In any conversation, the person asking the questions controls the conversation, not the one answering. Most people equate talking with influence. They believe if they aren't speaking, they're irrelevant. They rush to fill silence because quiet makes them uncomfortable. This is their mistake. And it's your opportunity. Because silence, paired with observation, gives you superpowers. When you listen, really listen, you notice things others miss. The discomfort behind someone's joke, the flicker in their tone when a topic unsettles them, the hidden insecurity buried in their words. People expose themselves constantly, but only to those who are patient enough to watch. And when you do speak, it's surgical. You ask a question that cuts straight through the noise. You make a single observation that shifts the entire direction of the dialogue. You reveal nothing you don't want to reveal, while extracting everything you need to know. Machiavelli captured this when he wrote, "Since love and fear can hardly exist together, it is safer to be feared than loved." But the deeper truth is this: when people can't read you, they don't know whether to fear you, love you, or admire you, so they do all three. This is the paradox of silence. By saying less, you are heard more. By revealing little, you become unforgettable. Lock this into your mind. I speak with purpose. I listen with power. I observe with advantage. 4. Scarcity as power. Now let's talk about something so fundamental to human psychology that it shapes every economy, every relationship, every hierarchy: scarcity. We value what is rare. We disregard what is abundant. If you're always available, always saying yes, always responding instantly, you become background noise. You've trained the world to take you for granted. But when you create scarcity, when your time, your presence, your attention must be earned, they rise in value. People lean in. They chase. They invest effort. Scarcity isn't about playing childish games. It's about aligning yourself with human nature. Gold is precious because it's scarce. Masterpieces are priceless because they're unique. Shouldn't your attention be the same? Machiavelli put it this way: men in general judge more by the eye than by the hand. People judge value by access. If you make yourself too accessible, you signal low value. If you guard your presence, you radiate importance. So stop answering every call immediately. Stop attending every event. Stop scattering your presence everywhere. Make your time precious, and the world will treat it that way. Say it with me. My time is precious. My presence is powerful. 5. Strategic presence. Mastery. Most people think showing up is the same as being influential. They scatter themselves everywhere. Every meeting, every event, every conversation, believing their constant presence will earn respect. But in truth, it makes them forgettable. Real power comes from strategic presence, not constant presence. Think about it. When you're everywhere, you become part of the scenery. Familiar? Yes. But invisible in the way wallpaper is invisible. People stop noticing. They stop valuing your contribution. But when you appear selectively, when you arrive at the right moment, with the right energy, with the right words, you shift the atmosphere. You turn ordinary moments into events. Your absence creates anticipation, and your presence creates impact. This requires discipline. It means saying no to good opportunities so you can dominate the great ones. It means not speaking in every discussion, so when you do speak, your words land with weight. Machiavelli framed it in animal terms. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. One must therefore be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. Strategic presence is knowing when to be invisible like the fox, observing, collecting intelligence, and when to be the lion, stepping forward to dominate the field. The lesson? Stop confusing visibility with influence. Influence is not about how often you're seen. It's about how unforgettable you are when you choose to be seen. Lock this in. I choose my moments. I control my presence. 6. Emotional control mastery. Here's where most people surrender their power. Emotions. Every day, others try to pull your strings. They praise you to make you drop your guard. They criticize you to trigger defensiveness. They create fake urgency to pressure you into bad choices. They flatter you into complacency. If you react impulsively to any of this, you lose. Emotional mastery doesn't mean becoming cold or robotic. It means feeling everything, but choosing when or if to respond. When someone insults you, feel the sting, but don't reveal it unless it serves you strategically. When someone flatters you, enjoy it, but don't let it seduce you into dependence. When someone pressures you, note the tactic, but act on your schedule, not theirs. Your emotions are data, not commands. Most people confuse authenticity with reactivity. They believe expressing every feeling makes them honest, but what it really makes them is predictable, and predictability is the death of power. Machiavelli observed, "Whoever wishes to foresee the future must consult the past, for human events ever resemble those of preceding times." And history repeats endlessly. Emotionally reactive people get controlled. Emotionally disciplined people remain powerful. Here's what this looks like in action. Someone tries to bait you into anger. You pause, let the moment breathe, and either respond strategically or not at all. Someone pushes urgency to make you act fast. You slow down because rushing would benefit them, not you. someone wields guilt or fear. You recognize the manipulation and refuse to play their game. This isn't emotional suppression. It's emotional sovereignty. When chaos erupts and you remain composed, people turn to you. When everyone else panics, your calm becomes magnetic. When others drown in drama, you rise as the authority. So lock this affirmation. I control my emotions. My emotions do not control me. 7. The power of strategic silence. Silence. Most people can't stand it. They rush to fill it with chatter just to escape the discomfort. They think silence means weakness, irrelevance, passivity. But silence, when wielded strategically, is one of the most powerful tools you'll ever possess. Why? Because silence creates pressure. It forces others to reveal themselves. It magnifies the weight of the few words you eventually choose to speak. It signals confidence stronger than any loud proclamation could. The trick is knowing the difference between accidental silence and intentional silence. Awkward quiet makes you seem nervous. Strategic quiet makes you seem powerful. When to deploy it? After you make an important point, pause. Let it echo. Let them stew in it. When someone tries to trap you with a loaded question, pause. Let the silence remind them you cannot be cornered. When a room is chaotic, voices clashing, your silence becomes the loudest voice. When someone pressures you for an instant response, pause. That pause forces them to reveal what they really want. Machiavelli once wrote, "Never was anything great achieved without danger." And silence is dangerous because it creates tension. But tension is power. Here's the beauty. Most people are so uncomfortable with silence that they'll rush to fill it, often with information you can use. Confessions, strategies, insecurities. They hand you ammunition without realizing it. And when you finally break the silence, people lean in. They listen. Your words land heavier because they are rare. Anchor this truth. My silence speaks louder than noise. My words are events, not filler. 8. Never reveal everything you can do. Here's a mistake that ruins influence before it has a chance to grow. People reveal their full hand too soon. They show off every skill at once, thinking this proves their worth. They overshare their resources, thinking transparency earns trust. They demonstrate every strength, thinking it makes them indispensable. But full exposure kills intrigue. Predictability breeds control. Once others know everything about your capabilities, they begin strategizing against them. The wise reveal only fragments. They show just enough to spark respect, but keep enough hidden to spark fascination. This applies to skills, resources, knowledge, and connections. You don't need to put your entire arsenal on display. Keep something in reserve, always. Machiavelli noted, "He who neglects what is done for what ought to be done sooner affects his ruin than his preservation." Translation: those who act naively with transparency often destroy themselves. Holding back accomplishes 3 things. 1. Surprise. People underestimate you until the moment you reveal more than they expected. 2. Flexibility. You adapt because not all your tools are visible. 3. Curiosity. People stay invested, always sensing there's more to you than they can see. Understand? This isn't deception. It's strategy. You're not lying. You're simply not volunteering everything. People respect what's visible, but they're fascinated by what's hidden, and fascination is influence. Affirm it. I reveal strategically. My mystery is my strength. 9. Creating uncertainty that works for you. Here's a principle from psychology and game theory. When people feel uncertain, they make mistakes. Uncertainty destabilizes. It forces others into defensive thinking. It makes them cautious, hesitant, sometimes even desperate. Powerful people understand this. They don't operate in a way that is easily read or predicted. When others can predict your every move, they relax. They stop trying. They exploit your patterns. But when you remain strategically unpredictable, they can't settle into control. They keep working harder, seeking your approval, trying to figure you out. This doesn't mean being random. Randomness is chaos. Strategic unpredictability is deliberate. Sometimes you respond instantly. Sometimes you delay. Sometimes you're warm and welcoming. Sometimes you're cool and measured. Sometimes you're available. Sometimes you're not. Consistency in values, unpredictability in methods. That combination creates both respect and fascination. Machiavelli is often quoted as saying, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." But here's the hidden upgrade. It is even better to be unpredictable than to be feared or loved, because unpredictability makes people treat you with reverence. So remember, create uncertainty not to cause stress, but to keep people engaged, invested, and respectful. Say it, "I am predictable in my values, but unpredictable in my actions." 10. Becoming the hidden force. Now we move from theory to transformation. Understanding invisible dominance isn't enough. You must embody it. This isn't about changing who you are at the core. It's about refining your strategy. You're not becoming someone else. You're evolving into the most powerful version of yourself. The first step is subtraction, eliminating habits that leak your power. Eliminate the need for constant validation. Chasing approval makes you predictable. When others sense you crave their praise, they can manipulate you with it. Eliminate the urge to over-explain. Every time you defend a decision unnecessarily, you weaken it. Boundaries don't need essays. A no is enough. Eliminate emotional reactivity. The first impulse is rarely the wisest. Learn to process privately and respond strategically. Machiavelli once wrote, "The best fortress which a prince can possess is the affection of the people." But in modern terms, your best fortress is self-control. No one can manipulate what they cannot predict. Once you've stripped away these sabotaging habits, replace them with stronger ones. Pause before responding. That single breath separates reaction from strategy. It gives you power over the moment. Ask more questions than you make statements. Questions extract information while keeping your own position concealed. Be selectively available. Let access to your time become a privilege, not an entitlement. Speak with precision. Every word should serve a purpose. Strip out filler, apologies, and approval-seeking chatter. Invisible dominance is not about theatrics. It's about subtle shifts that compound. Over time, people begin turning to you for leadership without you asking. They weigh your words heavier than others. Your presence changes the energy of a room before you even speak. That's the essence. Maximum influence with minimum noise. 11. Real versus fake power. Look around. Most people perform power like actors on a stage. They shout, posture, brag, and try to force respect. But true power doesn't need the spotlight. It works in shadows. It whispers where others scream. It influences without being obvious. Fake power is fragile. It collapses the moment someone refuses to play along. Real power is invisible and therefore unresistible. It shapes decisions before anyone realizes what happened. When you operate with invisible dominance, You don't fight for scraps of attention. You set the terms of engagement. You don't demand respect. It arrives uninvited. You don't chase influence. Influence grows around you like gravity. The difference between fake power and real power is the difference between a candle and the sun. One flickers in darkness. The other lights the world without effort. 12. Practicing invisible dominance. Daily. This isn't abstract. Every single day gives you opportunities to sharpen this skill. In your next conversation, resist the urge to impress. Instead, observe. What are they revealing unconsciously? What patterns do they expose? In your next decision, resist rushing. Pause. Let silence buy you time. Watch how others reveal themselves when you don't react instantly. In your next group setting, resist the urge to be loud. Speak less, but with precision. Notice how people lean in when you finally contribute. This is training. Invisible dominance strengthens like a muscle. Each time you resist reactivity, each time you choose silence, each time you reveal less, you build control. And gradually, others will feel it. They'll sense something they can't name. They'll treat you differently. They'll seek your approval, your insight, your presence, not because you demanded it, but because you mastered the art of being unreadable. 13. The psychology of mystery. Why does mystery carry so much power? The answer lies in human psychology. Our brains are wired with what's called the Zeigarnik effect. We fixate on incomplete information. What's unfinished? What's uncertain? What's withheld? We can't stop thinking about it. This is why cliffhangers work in storytelling. It's why people obsess over puzzles. And it's why someone who reveals only pieces of themselves becomes magnetic. When people feel they've figured you out entirely, they grow bored. But when they sense depth beyond what you've shown, they stay engaged, curious, invested. Mystery is not absence. It's deliberate incompleteness. It's the art of feeding just enough to spark interest, while holding back enough to create obsession. That's why invisible dominance doesn't just earn respect. It earns fascination. And fascination is more powerful than fear or love, because it compels people to return, to study you, to invest in you. 14. The discipline of less. Here's the paradox. Invisible dominance comes not from doing more, but from doing less. Less talking, less revealing, less chasing. In a world addicted to oversharing and overexposure, restraint is rebellion. Silence is authority. Mystery is influence. Most people think power is about accumulation. More visibility, more words, more access. But true power comes from selective subtraction. The fewer signals you send, the more people project onto you. The fewer explanations you give, the more weight your decisions carry. The fewer appearances you make, the more memorable each one becomes. It takes discipline, but discipline is what separates the common from the powerful. So embed this in your mind. I am not everywhere. I am not everything. But where I am everything. 15. Walking as the hidden force. When you embody all of this, you no longer chase outcomes. Outcomes begin to orbit around you. You become the person others underestimate at first, because you don't shout or demand attention. But slowly, they realize you're the one steering conversations. You're the one people seek advice from. You're the one whose calmness anchors chaos. And by the time they see it, it's too late. You've already shaped the outcome. That is invisible dominance. Not loud, not obvious, but undeniable. Remember, most people will never learn this. They're too busy trying to be noticed, too eager to be liked, too predictable in their patterns, but you're not most people. Say it one last time for this chapter. I am the hidden force that shapes reality. 16. Living with invisible dominance. Now comes the integration. This is no longer about theory, affirmations, or intellectual insight. This is about living as the hidden force every single day. Invisible dominance is not a switch you flip. It's a discipline you refine. It's a way of walking through the world, of choosing carefully when to act, when to withhold, when to speak, when to vanish. Most people live as open books. Every thought scribbled on the page, every emotion highlighted in neon. They think this makes them authentic, but it makes them easy prey, easy to read, easy to control. Invisible dominance means you become the unreadable book, the one people can't skim, the one they sense holds secrets they'll never fully unlock. And here's the paradox. That mystery makes you more magnetic than 1,000 words ever could. 17. Power in relationships. Let's apply this to relationships. Friends, partners, colleagues all operate by the same psychological principles. If you're always available, you become taken for granted. If you reveal every thought immediately, you kill curiosity. If you react emotionally to every moment, you become predictable. But when you carry invisible dominance into relationships, something shifts. People lean in. They chase. They value your time, your opinions, your presence. This doesn't mean withholding affection or acting manipulative. It means living by principle. Scarcity creates value. Mystery sustains respect. Composure anchors trust. When you become unreadable, you're not cold, you're magnetic. When you're not constantly available, you're not distant, you're valuable. When you control your emotions, you're not detached, you're powerful. Invisible dominance doesn't erode connection, it strengthens it, because the world always treasures what it cannot easily possess. 18. Power in work and influence. Now think about your career, your business, your niche. Most professionals burn themselves out trying to be everywhere, to show every skill, to grab every opportunity. They flood people with noise, thinking visibility equals influence. But true influence at work comes from scarcity and timing. The person who speaks rarely, but precisely, is remembered. The one who doesn't attend every meeting but dominates the few they choose, that's influence. The one who reveals only part of their capability keeps colleagues curious, superiors cautious, competitors guessing. Invisible dominance transforms the workplace from a battlefield into a chessboard, and you're the one moving pieces, while others are distracted by noise. 19. The neuroscience of power. Neuroscience gives us a clue as to why invisible dominance is so effective. The brain craves certainty, but is addicted to uncertainty. Predictability feels safe, but it also feels boring. Unpredictability creates dopamine, the chemical of curiosity, motivation, and reward. This is why a mysterious person captivates us, why a quiet leader feels weightier than a loud one, why the one who withholds commands more attention than the one who overshares. You are literally hijacking the brain's reward circuits when you live with invisible dominance. People remember you longer, think about you more often, and value you more deeply because their brains won't let them forget the unfinished puzzle you represent. 20. The philosophy of shadow power. Philosophically, invisible dominance aligns with the wisdom of thinkers from East and West alike. The Taoists spoke of Wu Wei, action through non-action, influence without force. Nietzsche spoke of the will to power, not brute strength, but the invisible shaping of reality itself. Machiavelli spoke of appearances, how true rulers hide their essence while projecting just enough to command. All point toward the same paradox. The most powerful forces are unseen. Gravity is invisible. The subconscious drives behavior invisibly. The most transformative ideas move in silence until the world is remade by them. You must become that. The invisible principle others feel but cannot define. 21. The final fortress. The final fortress of invisible dominance is self-possession. The ability to belong fully to yourself, unmoved by external noise. When people can't shake you with praise or criticism, you're free. When they can't predict your next move, you're respected. When they can't access you whenever they want, you're valued. When they can't manipulate your emotions, you're untouchable. And once you reach this state, others instinctively orient around you. They adapt to you. They seek you. They follow you, not because you demanded it, but because your presence bends reality. That is the hidden force. 22. Becoming unstoppable. So now it's time. Time to move from hearing these words to living them. Every silence you hold strategically, every emotion you channel into discipline, every time you reveal less than you know, every moment you choose presence instead of noise. Each of these is a brick in your fortress of power. And with time, you'll notice the shift. People will treat you differently. Rooms will quiet when you speak. Doors will open where once they were locked. Respect will flow where once you begged for scraps. Because invisible dominance isn't a trick. It's the highest form of power. Subtle, effortless, undeniable. So repeat it one last time. I am the hidden force that shapes my reality through invisible dominance and strategic action. Carry it with you. Practice it daily. Live it until it becomes who you are. Because the world is loud with pretenders, but you, quiet, strategic, unreadable, you will be the one truly in control. And that makes you unstoppable.